I heard of an owner of a company was walking through the headquarters, just kind of making sure everything was going smoothly. And he walked past this office, saw this young man working away feverishly at his desk and engrossed in his work. And he stopped and he asked the young man, he said, "Young man, how long have you been working here?" The young man looked up at the boss and said, "Ever since I heard you coming down the hall." Well, I'm afraid oftentimes Christians have a similar attitude when it comes to serving God. Oh, if someone's watching, well, we work hard, don't we? Or if there's recognition involved, or something, there's something there reciprocal, something in it for us that'll benefit us, we'll work extra hard. But when no one's around, what do? Are we as excited? Are we as enthused? Is our attitude the same? Well, in Hebrews chapter 6, let me just read 2 verses for you quickly. He says, "But beloved, we are persuaded better things of you and things that accompany salvation, though we thus speak. For God is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, which ye have showed toward his name, and ye have ministered to the saints and do minister." Now here on Ministry Minutes, we've been focusing on being engaged in ministry and what that involves and how we can engage in ministry to those around us. And so he tells us here there's things that need to be added to our salvation. That is, things that come with our salvation, things that once we're saved, these are things that ought to be automatic. These are things that ought to come along with it, that we ought to be engaged in once we're saved. Not to be saved, but because we're saved. But he says here that God will not forget your work and labor of love. And you say, work, labor, what's the difference? Well, the word work there is the common word. It means to toil. There's effort involved, there's sweat involved, but that word labor is more intense. The word labor there literally, the root of the word labor there literally means a cut. All right? Or pain, it has to do with pain or trouble and weariness. I don't know if you ever experienced it, but you're working away at a project, something you thought shouldn't take very long, and yet something that doesn't go right. And for example, when I was a young man, I don't do this much anymore, but when I was a young man, you have your first car and you like to fix everything yourself, right? And so whether it's replacing the alternator, the exhaust system, whatever it is, you're in there. Of course, that's the days when you could actually get to the alternator and things weren't so electronic, under the hood, but when you could fix your own car. But anyway, you'd work away and you think this shouldn't take long. Just take it up, pop that back in, put the bolt in, and we're done. Well, before long, you've got scraped knuckles. You're trying to get things just where they need to be, and it's not lining up exactly right. And a few hours later, you finish your job, and you think to yourself, why didn't I just go pay someone else to do this? Well, that's kind of the idea of labor here. It's more than effort. There's pain. There's trouble that often accompanies it. And the word love there, as you may have guessed, is that word agape. It's the supreme sacrificial love. But when we love someone, there is something. It always costs something when true love is involved. It may cost money, frankly. You put your money where your mouth is sometimes. It costs time. It costs maybe inconvenience, maybe pain, maybe cost your pride. But there's always cost involved when it's a labor of love. And so I encourage you to think about that this week, what it means, not just to work for God, what it means to labor and to minister to the saints in that work and labor of love. If it's true love, there'll be a cost involved. And so what cost are you willing to pay? But secondly, what cost are you paying? Are you engaged in ministry, in the work of love, the labor of love, as he has called us to do as recipients of his salvation? What are you going to do today to demonstrate that work and labor of love for Christ? Thanks for tuning in to Ministry Minutes. We'll see you next Thursday here. Once again, God bless.